Hi Aries, and welcome to your Mercury retrograde update. So as you know, we entered July, am I saying proper month? July the 9th. Like anything that goes wrong, now I can blame Mercury retrograde for it. So, but this one is in Leo, and you're Aries. And also, Leo is in an exact conjunction with fiery Mars. So it's fire meets fire creates more fire, and sometimes it kind of like gets out of hand. So keep that in mind, guys. So as I said to the other signs, welcome if you're new. If you're old, please do check your subscription, because something is going on with YouTube algorithm, and sometimes you just get unsubscribed. So please check that. And also, because this is a general reading, it's just like general clothing, right? Pret-a-porter, you kind of like go to Old Navy and you kind of like never get the perfect fit. It's always like sort of fit, right? So to get a perfect fit, please go to my website kattarot.ca and get your private reading. I have a few options, and I think very soon I'll be changing them. You have 9 of Pentacles that showed up already. Did something else clicked? No. Let's see. Ooh, you have 3 of Pentacles and you have the Moon. Now that's really interesting that you are getting into this. So keep in mind like what can happen right now, because you are that sign with exuberant energy, right? So Leo is kind of like very proud sign. It's also very energetic sign, right? And so what's basically going to be happening that maybe you're going to have a very volatile energy, which can be actually really great for sports, which you probably love, or dance, or even creative exploration. Inspirations will be there as well. You will just like kind of like get an idea. I really want to do that. I always want to do it. You see, Mercury retrograde is really good for situation like that, where you kind of like really follow your own, let's say, drum if you really wish. So you might actually have interesting emotional kind of like few weeks, because you know how you sometimes like lock horns with another kind of like sheep on that proverbial kind of like bridge. But be very careful, because when it comes to Mercury retrograde in Leo, we might have more on already your exuberant energy or less. And so I think because altogether that nervousness is making us going left and right, that it might kind of like leave us a little bit unfocused. So just keep that in mind. So let's see, what is this all about? So 9 of Pentacles generally is the card. It's kind of like really interesting, because you are getting I keep getting creative energy. I keep getting writing. I keep getting applications. I keep getting job. I keep getting you are not happy to stand still. I keep getting you're not happy to be, let's say, single. I think some of you are single, and I also feel that some of you singletons said, I don't want to be single, this is what I want. But it's going to change. I think it's going to start feeling different. You're going to not to find reward in being single anymore. I think it looks like you had part of the path, and you have been focused very much on your own, what you want to do and on your energy. But when this reverses, it can talk about setbacks and loss, and it's like due to overindulgence. So be very careful how you're applying that excessive energy that some of you might have, right? So 3 of Pentacles is absolutely lovely card, and it really talks about kind of bringing other people to understand how we deal with things and in which direction do we really want to go. It's a collaborative card, right? And sometimes, as I said, there could be some kind of like materialistic thing, or maybe somebody just like getting in your way, and you feel like I will roll over you and you're going to be spot on the wall, kind of like anger, right? But you're going to kind of like process this and going to say to yourself, I need to cool my head, kind of a thing. because I think strategy and cool approach would be really different over here. So this is about looking solutions and kind of like having confidence in kind of like things that you do. And interesting thing is that you are getting the moon. The moon is transformational, and I really think in particular this talks to Aries is born in March, and to a greater extent, to some lesser extent to the rest of you, right? Because this is the card that really talks about metamorphosis. We do not have this coyote and doggy over here on the card, but here this is really talking about some fears. Have you been stuck somewhere because you didn't communicate? You didn't express what you wanted. You maybe have been living in your shadow self and kind of like playing poker with sweaty palms, so everybody could see the beads on your kind of like hands and knew that, hey, this is not going anywhere. So this is kind of like also the card that it tells you, maybe you haven't been right. I know that's a kind of like really novel concept, right? If you're not right, you're going to say, no way, cat, right? But this is time to purge negativity and kind of like go inside for your answers. And I'm trying to figure out where is that sound coming from, and I think Tarja got a hold of my water bottle and is chewing on it. It's just, there you go. It's not Mercury retrograde, right? I also want to tell you that sometimes the moon card can talk about psychic dreams and premonitions and something happening. Yesterday I was walking the dog. It was a lovely evening, and I live close to one of the rivers in Toronto, and along each side there's like a long pathway that goes miles and miles and miles. So on one part, and I kid you not, I'll actually probably show you here because I'm sure you're not going to believe me. The part of the forest all of a sudden started to feel like, okay, I see something kind of like blue. Can you see it? Can you see this part? Look at that. It just turned almost like a blue. And I kept looking. I was thinking, is that something with my eyes? I took another picture. I looked at it. I said, this is really showing. No, the trees didn't turn blue. And this is kind of like one of those signs that like really we need to recognize when things are happening. So it was about almost like, hey, look deeper. Don't lay paws on trees. Look at that. If you really look at it, can you see a dragon with like two big eyes and a teeth over here? It's almost like willing to kind of like, and you can see the body and you can see the wings over here. Like literally, it's almost like a metamorphosis. I can see people and people and people and people. So this kind of like asked me to stop and start to like look into kind of like these concepts. And I really think something like this is going to happen. Maybe you kept overlooking something and it's really time to kind of like sink your teeth deeper and look into that, right? So don't get triggered with jealousy. Don't get triggered with kind of like monetary success and stuff like that. So try to kind of like put forward an idea how you can kind of like move forward for everything to work correctly. Whoa, you have Isa. That's a rune of danger. Be very careful how you spend money. Extremely careful. So this one doesn't have reverse, right? It's almost like, I always see an iceberg floating. You cannot stop it. Like what Superman would take to kind of like say, stop, stop, stop. So this is really talking about patience, just like this one. Because look at that. It took him many and many and many and many hours to get that expertise, because this is the card that talks about expertise, right? And you have to figure out where you are good at. Maybe somebody is just taking advantage of your expertise without giving you kind of like the prestige that you need. Maybe you need to kind of like get a little bit more out of it, right? So you're not going to be very optimistic. I do have to tell you, this kind of like is going to be period that sort of like is going to put that little kind of like thing in a process, right? But sometimes this also shows up where maybe you had some kind of emotional turmoil, and now it's kind of like giving this respite, right? So tread carefully, guys, and kind of like go through that ground carefully. Yes, helpful people and respect, kind of like doing the right thing, looking left and right when you're crossing the street. Be very careful about slipping and falling, extremely important. So have proper footwear, watch how you're driving, especially bicycles for some reason that I'm picking up, and especially something that involves water. Be very, very careful, right? Because Isa is really a rune of ice and cold, right? Because it kind of like does look like an icicle. An icicle can fall on you and freaking kill you, right? So guys, this rune, as I said, is unstoppable. It's going to happen, and whether or not it has a speed or not, it's going to happen. So it is like simply kind of like bracing for impact. So I don't know, like, I mean, maybe you're worried about relationship, and after all, this is kind of rune that is like ice cold and cold hearted, kind of like a thing, cooling of affection. But it almost like tells me that it's going to be really you that is going to kind of like be doing that. Maybe you're going to branch out and you're going to find, maybe reading from Cat Tarot. Maybe you're going to sit with a trusted friend and kind of like figure it out. In any case, move carefully, kind of like dot your I's, cross your T's. Things will be really important in the future, and just make sure that you are doing that one step at a time, right? Because even though this is kind of predicting that uncomfortable emotional chilly time and a whole bunch of delays and probably frustration, but that can be also kind of like the silver lining, the blessing in disguise, right? Because your desires will slowly evolve, so that patience and patience and patience is going to be a lesson that you need to learn. And I know you hate patience as much as I do, but it's actually a really good quality to have. So my dear Aries, please check also your ascendant and moon sign, and as I said, check your subscription, and to get your reading directly through me, check my website cattarot.ca. If you don't know what is your ascendant and moon sign, in the description I have a link for you, so just look it up. Love you guys, and yeah, don't forget to subscribe and comment, because the sign that clicks the most is actually going to get the reading faster than the other signs. So that's it from me, and I'll talk to you soon. Enjoy this Mercury retrograde and be smart. Love you.